I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic, a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans. And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field. Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
You are listening to Let Him Cook. I'm Dylan Coon, as always, joined by Nigel Dyson. We're in the Northwest Bank Studios, and Nigel, Iowa State has their first quad one win of the season and really dominated start to finish. And we will get into all of that. Twitter was awesome last night. It's just, there is something about Cyclone Twitter during a basketball game, especially one that goes that way. I'm just handing out likes like it's candy, like it's Halloween night. There's so many, just like there's good takes, there's hot takes, there's great tweets. Just shout out to the Cyclone Twitter community. That was a fun night last night. But first, some big news for the university itself. A new president, David Cook, Mr. President, probably a doctor. I'm guessing a Dr. Cook. Let him cook. Has to be the first President Cook in Iowa State's history. I saw there's a couple like comments on the actual post on Twitter that says "Let him cook" in the comments. Not sure if that's actually talking about us, but it is funny. It's great for T-shirts. He was, I think, born in Ames, got his bachelor's degree at Iowa State. He's been at North Dakota State for a long time. So as a South Dakota State fan, I'll have to look past that. But David Cook, shout out. Big, I mean, obviously being at North Dakota State, that guy loves athletics. So hopefully he's able to kind of keep pushing on what Iowa State's doing, both in football and men's basketball, women's basketball, wrestling right now. Iowa State athletics just in a very good place. So David Cook, welcome back. Happy to have you.
Yeah. Hopefully we can actually get David Cook on an episode.
That'd be awesome.
Sooner rather than later. Just for the plot, but obviously it's always encouraging to hear someone who's homegrown, who knows Ames as a community, can come and try to make the university a better place day in and day out. And then obviously hearing that he's from North Dakota State, I mean, you definitely prioritize athletics, and I think kind of the rumblings that have been Chi-Town and what that could be in the next 10 years, I think their next president definitely needed to be athletics driven, especially for us to remain competitive in Power 4 schools. Or within Power 4 schools, I should say. But yeah, no, obviously really exciting news today. Who knows? Hopefully he can make Ames a better place, like I said, and then hopefully he can be a bit more forgiving on the tuition because my back is hurting. But carry on.
Yeah, hey man, that education is not free unless you're a D1 basketball player on scholarship. Then
yeah,
it's
unless you're Tamin Lipsey.
Pretty right. Iowa State, though, man, 4.5-point favorite last night going into that game at Mississippi State. I thought Iowa State was in for a real kind of rock fight. Mississippi State's a physical team. They got a lot of guys that are just built and strong and big and long and athletic. All those teams in the SEC are like that. So I just felt like Iowa State was really going to – and, you know, that Iowa State, you've played Fairleigh Dickinson and Grambling State. And, you know, Mississippi State's only played North Alabama and honestly kind of struggled against that team. But, Nigel, this is why I'm so high on teams that have continuity coming into the season. Really, the only player Mississippi State brought back from last year was Josh Hubbard, who played great, 25 points. But, honestly, they made him work for it. It wasn't an easy 25 points. Shot under 50% from the field. I'm not quite sure what he shot from three, but Killian Toure was mainly the kind of key defender on him throughout the night. And that kind of surprised me, too. I thought Tamin Lipsey was going to see a lot of Hubbard on the defensive side, but I think just Toure's size, again, he's all of 6'3", and I think can really disrupt smaller guards and where they want to get to and the spots they want to get to. So, I mean, just kind of from the jump, I was really impressed. And Tamin Lipsey is a great defender, but he's more of an opportunist. He's great at being in passing lanes and steals at the top of the key. That's kind of the Tamin Lipsey vintage move at this point. Like Dirk had the the fade. Kobe had his spin, and Tamin Lipsey has a top of the key steal. That's just like he will do that 2 to 3 times every game. But Toure is more of a, clamps, ISO defender, and it's hard to get around it. I mean, he is built like a junior or senior in the Big 12, and I think that's going to help going forward in the season. There's a lot of good guards in the Big 12, and he might be the one that's being asked to guard these guys.
Yeah, no, and I think obviously, when it comes to our guards, this is the most secure I've felt in a group of guards in a while, where you have individual ability, but also like depth, and then also the physical stature to play our style of basketball and have it really be like a difference maker. So I saw that yesterday, a ton, especially from the freshmen Bateman and Toure, and then obviously, like I said, like a couple episodes ago we said those two would be kind of a flip your coin type of rotation, and that was kind of yesterday how they were treated early on, and obviously it paid dividends because Bateman can really shoot the ball. Tourier is a big body, he can really defend, so there really is kind of like a pick your poison kind of element with both those guys. Regardless, both of them are going to make an impact when they're on the floor, and I think the more their confidence builds alongside Tamin, like as like almost like the meme of the Ninja Turtles, walking with walking what's his name, the rat from Ninja Turtles, their dad. It's not Shredder, is it Shredder? It might be. I don't know. If you help me on the comments, but you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like one day. It's almost Tamin paying homage to what Jaron Holmes and Gabe Kelcher were for him, and to be able to be around a lot of young, promising guards. I mean, they're going to learn a ton this year just by playing with him. So I'm excited to see kind of their development and see. It was very refreshing to see against an actual Power 4 school opponent to get a kind of a gauge of where they're at, and it was good to see that they weren't afraid of the moment for sure.
Yeah, the guard mentorship that I always go back to is Monte Morris having a year when he was a freshman going against DeAndre Kane in practice every single day. I just really think that helped Monte Morris. I mean, when he came to Ames, he was a small, 6'1". Yeah,
there we go. What's his name?
Hey, do you know the name? Are you a Ninja? I didn't grow up watching Ninja Turtles, so
I think it's Splinter.
Splinter.
I think Shredder's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
We don't mess with Shredder.
Right. Sorry. Sorry, to get back to my point, Monte Morris, he just wasn't ready for kind of the physicality of the Big 12, and I think DeAndre Kane did a lot in his growth as one of the best Iowa State point guards ever. And yeah, just to constantly have someone to kind of test yourself against in practice in the summers and as the season goes along, I think that's huge for Toure and Bateman to kind of go against someone like Lipsey and really to learn from him too. Heisey too. I mean, that's another big athletic guard that they're defending and attacking every day in practice and scrimmage. So that'll go a long ways. And I mean, the player of the game last night was Tamin Lipsey. And the key kind of matchup was Lipsey and Hubbard. I mean, both those guys have first-team aspirations for their conference. 25 points from Tamin Lipsey, career high. Made it with like a 3 late in the game to get to 25. 22 was his former career high. I think 6 assists, 3 steals. Again, I just like what he does is gives the team what they need to win. And he's done that when he was getting 10 points and 5 assists. And, you let Kurt and Keyshawn, they're 18 and 15. And he just facilitates to whatever the team needs out of him that given night. And that's why it always made sense to me. And even when he was a sophomore, kind of before Kurt came on, that TCU game, I think it was at TCU when Kurt went ballistic. And then from then on, it was a Kurt Jones that we remember. But before that, when Kurt was kind of struggling, Tamin was really holding his own on the offensive side of the ball. And then he kind of started to defer, which not a bad decision, to Kurt and Keyshawn as our main scoring options in the backcourt. Now that those guys are gone, it doesn't surprise me that he's carrying more of the workload on offense again. So I kind of expected this. I thought we were going to see his offensive numbers jump just because of the gap that was left behind. But it's good to see it come to fruition because just because that's what was expected, that doesn't mean that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, no, and obviously some concern probably jumps into a lot of fans' heads of where he even was at going into a game like this, given that he was spending most of the later half of the offseason, injured and not even practicing. It definitely came up into my head, what does this mean for the beginning of the year? Is it going to take till Thanksgiving for him to get back on his feet? And he looks like he hasn't even missed a step. So to see, the performance he had yesterday, and kind of just see how his game is elevated, how we kind of talked about how he was that like really mellow, kind of, not almost like you look like you're bored out there, but just so even keel that everything is instinctual at that point, kind of how he was in high school as a senior. To see that now be the same type of player he is in at the collegiate level, I mean, it's huge, so it definitely makes me happy because I know that year he won a state championship. So who knows, maybe this year it might be a national championship, but only God can tell.
That AIM squad was a bunch of fun to watch when he was a senior. That team, the team around him too, there were some other good players on that team besides him. But yeah, like you said, he just did so. I mean, thank God for the other teams that college basketball has a shot clock, because he would just run that offense. I mean, the defense would basically just give up every possession, and Tamin would find someone wide open, whether that was him or a teammate.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you give Tamin an unlimited shot clock, you're coming out with 2 or 3 points every single possession, because he's not going to turn it over, and he just always makes the right decision. It was like a surgeon, just like it was insane to watch him operate an offense as a senior in high school. And I think, that's kind of where I wanted him to get in college. And I think we're kind of finally seeing that. He also, the thing I love about Tamin, he uses his body so well finishing. He's not going to do a 2-hand dunk. Like, he's not going to jump out of the gym, but he's just so smart about using his shoulders and like protecting the ball, using the glass. I just there's no one I trust more with the basketball right now than Tamin Lipsey. And that's kind of what you were talking about. Like, you think in years past, anytime, it was better when he was a senior, but like when Rob Jones had the ball, I just would have an anxiety attack. I'm like, what is about to happen? Or like Brant Chatfield, if he had the ball longer than 3 seconds, I'm like, what are we doing? But this team, it feels like so far, there's not a lot of guys that I'm worried about handling the ball, or it doesn't feel like there's a lot of guys that are turnover prone. It seems like a pretty cohesive unit. A lot of basketball to play left in the season, but that's another good sign to me early that there's not a guy jumping out to me where I'm feeling nervous when he's, having the ball in his hands with 10 or 8 seconds left on the shot clock.
Yeah, I mean, to counter your point, I think Jefferson, at times, I think he tends to do too much, but when he keeps things simplistic, I think he's just as effective as a 3-level scorer. For that to be the only person in the starting lineup that I have worries about, essentially, when it comes to who has the ball in their hands. But to add value to your point, like you said, even Buchanan, a guy who you think might be a little dorky or a little shaky with the ball, is actually quite the playmaker from the high post in that motion offense, and is really bouncy. Like, I know TJ had mentioned it earlier in media day, but to see it in real time, and honestly, me being a Duke fan, I saw it, but he was on those lesser talented Virginia teams. So it wasn't on display as much, I would say. But definitely you can see spurts of, just really impressive athleticism. So to see someone who can kind of be more of a mobile 5 as opposed to just an interior force is really nice, especially in the type of motion offense that we run. Because, again, it makes them just as much of a threat as it does the other 4 options on the floor. And you saw a lot of it yesterday. Obviously, I thought Buchanan could have probably rebounded a little bit better in the first half, but he started to pick that up, and he made up for it, I think, with the rest of his play. To get 4 assists, to get 3 blocks. It's I'll take, if you can make up for small mistakes like that in bigger plays, in my opinion, especially to end the half. That one Buchanan block that led to a Dominic Nelson tip in at the buzzer. I mean, that was sick. Yeah. So it just seeing how we've kind of evolved present builds that have worked at Iowa State, and almost kind of with evolution, obviously, you've just found a better mold of that same player, because it's a bit more of a more athletic Michael Jacobson. And to see him make an immediate impact, especially like I said, against that Power 5 opponent, it was definitely refreshing. So I was really impressed with Buchanan yesterday, and then obviously even Milan too. The quiet 18.
The other, when you're talking about Buchanan's bounciness, I was the defense. And a lot of times, like Iowa State will play 25 seconds of fantastic defense, and then a smart perimeter player makes a back cut and has like a wide open layup or a dunk. Buchanan's going to have maybe once or twice a game, he's going to have a block at the rim blocking that cutter because he can go meet guys at the rim. He did that last night against Mississippi State. And that erases an easy 2 points that Iowa State's given up during Otz's tenure. Honestly, speaking about kind of Momcilovic and Jefferson, both those guys didn't play. They had long stretches. Jefferson, a little bit of foul trouble, had 2 fouls, I think, at the under 12 of the first half, and then sat out the rest of the first half. And some of that was probably Otz and the staff being like, I'm not sure if we need to put him back in there. If Mississippi State, makes a 10-0 run or something like that, it's like, all right, you got to trust your senior to not get his third foul before halftime. But I think the staff was like, hey, Iowa State ended the first half on a 17-3 run. Yeah, that last play was really just kind of a microcosm of like what the game was. I mean, that was just so smooth. Buchanan block, Bateman made like a 40-foot pass, and then Heisey just lobs it up to Nelson as time expires. It was just like the cleanest transition drill you've ever seen. And it just, a lot of things seemed to come pretty easy to Iowa State last night. Made for some enjoyable basketball. That 17-3 run especially. Man, I didn't realize the Sanford Pentagon. I knew it was kind of a weird-shaped arena, but there is, I think, 3,500 seats. That's like there's high schools in Chicago, Nigel, that seat more than Waukee Northwest might sit more than 3,500. Like that is a small gym up there in Sioux Falls. It was all Cyclones, unsurprisingly, but
I just realized I want to say so. I completely misread this stat sheet. Milan had 5 points. Jefferson at 18. I didn't want people cooking me in the comments, so I wanted to clear the air. I'm sorry. I need my glasses.
Like, speaking to Momcilovic, he sat out, I think, 15 minutes of the second half. And again, that's, I think, kind of the staff being like, we're doing all right without him. And like, depth is not a bad thing. It's just like, I think a lot of people coming into the season, you look at our roster and you think, okay, our big three is Lipsey, Momcilovic, and Jefferson. And it still kind of is. I'm not saying that's not the case, but it might not be those 3 guys leading the team in minutes every night is kind of what I'm getting at. Or those won't be the top 3 guys in scoring every night.
Well, and a problem we've run into in the past is like the lack of depth causes to make it very predictable of where the shots are going. If you can win convincingly like this without Milan having a good game, like if you have the depth, sit them down. Like it's not everyone. It's not everyone's day every day. Like that's insane to expect of that. And it'll be games like this that will almost give teams kind of the notion of he's inconsistent. All right, you sure about that?
Yeah.
He may not be consistent against you. I mean, you could be looking at Colorado Milan Momcilovic, and we're talking about a different demon at that point. So I think that's the beauty of depth is like to keep teams on their toes, to keep them guessing. It adds a completely different kind of mantra to your team of how you can go with things. And I think seeing how smooth the offense was, like you said, I think as much as you were saying like the last play was, perfect basketball, I really feel like most of the offense yesterday was smooth basketball. Like when I remember there was a possession, Tamin got a rebound. He went up for a drive, got his own rebound, did like a little probe Steve Nash dribble, and then finds a cutting shot. Like just creating opportunities off of just feel for the game alone. You can tell these guys have been playing for multiple years. And I think, for us to be one of the older teams in the Big 12 this year, on top of having kind of like more of a natural in-depth, like you said, but also like smooth offense, it's going to cause a lot of issues for other teams. So I'm excited to see, how this is really going to play in the Big 12. Yeah, there's a lot of highly touted, as Dick Vitale would say, diaper dandies in our league, but that's the point. They're all young. So I think you take chemistry along with, a smooth offense finally, on top of, just the ability that you have chemistry and kind of that cohesiveness and experience with a group of guys, and you can really turn something into like a really special run come later on in the season.
Speaking of just like guys that have been in the moment, I made maybe the mistake. I was hoping it wouldn't be. But during that Auburn game last year, we were up 18 at halftime, and Auburn, obviously a much higher ranked team than Mississippi State was. And
Did you get PTSD?
Yeah.
A little bit? I did too.
All of Twitter was like, don't let it happen again. And I called my best friend Danny, and he was like, Dylan, I don't want to tell you this, but you called me at halftime of the Auburn game last year, and we blew it, so maybe we should just hang up the phone. And I was like, damn. But like, I think there is a point of like, this team's not going to get complacent. Like they've seen this team get to the, we were the number 2 ranked team in the country last year for a couple of weeks in a row, and it all just kind of slipped through our hands, whether it was injuries or guys sitting out, and like this team has been through it. And Toure and Bateman haven't, and Plata haven't, and Buchanan haven't, but the 3 leaders, and Heisey too, Kelderman, like these guys have seen it. And they're preaching to those young guys. We can't be content with an 18-point lead at halftime. And I think that just goes such a far way. And also, if I could just digress for a moment, Chad Baker-Mazara, I hope you're having just a terrible day. I tweeted this yesterday. That's what I think about when I think about the Auburn game, is Chad Baker-Mazara's flopping and flailing and falling over himself.
Yeah.
And that idiot looked up his own name on Twitter today, Nigel, and he liked my tweet where I basically said, I hope Chad Baker-Mazara is having a terrible day. So maybe he did. Maybe you did. Yeah, Aiden. Yeah.
5 likes.
Blame this man.
Bro saw a 4-like tweet and was like, respect.
Let me get on that.
He's like, I want to let my presence be known.
Also, I clicked on that being like, that has to just be like some burner account named Chad Baker-Mazara. It has 8.3K followers and like only tweets about himself. So I'm pretty sure
that's a college athlete right there.
Yeah. And by the way, he's like 6 months younger than I am. He's older than Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Get a job.
Yeah.
Start selling cars.
I believe he has a child. Like, it's time, man.
He might have a grandchild, Nigel.
He has a mortgage, a grandchild. He's got a
retirement home.
Yeah, he's got a nice house down in Naples, Florida.
It's insane.
It's unreal. Anyway, how did we get on Chad? Like, I haven't been thinking about that twig since April.
I was talking shit about Auburn, but
okay.
All that to say, like, this team has they've seen it all, and I don't think an 18-point lead is gonna get them big headed. Is basically where I was going with that. Like they are here to win games. It's like business trips. Like these guys aren't, gonna think they're the hottest thing on earth after this win,
sure.
And they're just gonna go right back to work.
And that's my thing. Like you could tell even the way TJ was moving going into this game, like he really didn't have like, all right, walk-ons, get on in there. Like the starters were in and we were up by 20, like 2 minutes left. So I could tell that I think everyone's a little traumatized from last November. So it was definitely was eye-opening to see, how well we were able to play with that lead. Because I know not just last year, but like years in prior, that was a problem for us. We could not maintain leads. It was easy to be the team that could upset somebody, but to be a team that could go in there, stay in a consistent and confident lead and hold it and just really run the clock out was a real problem for us because, again, our offense would work in the past, but then it got really predictable because, yes, you have your guys that can get you points and put the ball in the basket, but a lot of guys on past teams were extremely limited offensively. And I think to kind of split the 5 position between I want to pronounce his name right. It's Pita, right? Like pita bread? Plata. Like
I think
plate.
PL
Plata.
If you're like gonna pronounce it, PLAYTA.
Okay. So between Plata and Buchanan, I think they add a lot more value at the 5 spot than, like you said, a Rob, a Chatfield back in the day. Like I think in times where offense may get a little stagnant, Buchanan now can hit a spin move and make a play, or hit a backdoor cut and make a play. Like, it's just things like that kind of make a difference in this year's team. So I was really encouraged to see that, and hopefully we can continue that momentum, especially going into the later November games.
If I'm going to get real nitpicky about Plata real quick, somebody's got to teach that guy how to screen. Yeah, I think he's had like 4 illegal screens in the past 2 games. And some of a couple of them I was like, come on. But like a couple of them are like, yeah, man, like set your feet and like don't move. Just like
You're
stay
a
still.
90s fan. He's a European. He's soft, right? That's Dylan's opinion.
Have you seen Illinois' starting roster this year?
Yeah, it's the Lithuanian national team.
It's insane. All 5 of their starters have like 15-letter last names, and they're all from Eastern Europe. It's wild. What happened to Kofi Coburn and Ayo Dosunmu? Like none of those guys. They've just gone straight EuroLeague.
They lost to Loyola. Brad Underwood was like, never again.
Never again.
Get me a ticket to Rome right now.
I think he was the one that recruited Marcus Smart at Oklahoma State. I don't know if he was still at Oklahoma State by then, because he was at Oklahoma State before Illinois. But anyways, that Illinois team they're playing Texas Tech tonight. I'm going to watch that game. The other thing I want to say about this game is Iowa State only shot, I think, 5 for 22. I'm going to fact check myself right now. Of course, I pulled up a different score. I think it's 5 for 22. And that's not great. But you win a game comfortably. I mean, I think Iowa State ended up winning this game by 16 points, but really it was constantly at 20 points, 22 points in the second half, kind of called the dogs off at the end. But like this team's identity, and I remember like kind of after Fred's players left and Prom was kind of up to his own guys, you kind of think like Tyrese Halliburton's sophomore year, maybe even the year after that, where you're kind of in limbo. It's like, what is this team's identity? Like, what does it mean to be a Steve Prohm team? Like, what is his team really good at every single year? And Aiden, I sent you this tweet.
I have a few answers, but they're not podcast appropriate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the key to a Prohm team was going. That's the last time we played Mississippi State was Prohm's last year, and they beat us like by 30 points.
Who did?
Mississippi State. Big 12 SEC Challenge. Prohm's last year. They whooped us.
They played in Starksville, though.
Yeah.
So.
But still, that's not a 30-point crowd down there in Starksville. They're not.
No, for sure. But that's still like, yeah, no, I guess I wasn't. Like, we did get a crappier team out of that entire SEC poll, so that makes sense. Yeah, no, that was a tough year. It's a tough year.
A down year, if you could say.
We don't like to talk about it.
Aiden, do you have that Chris and I think it's Andriga? Man. So for the only listeners, 25 plus turnovers by Cyclones men basketball opponents from the year 96 to 2021, which was Prohm's last year. 8 times did Iowa State force a team 25 plus turnovers. Just in Otz's coaching career at Iowa State, head coaching career, they've done it 8 times. And 25 plus is a lot. Like, I mean, your average team against an average defense, 10 to 12 turnovers. So double that. And then to do it against a Power 4 opponent and what should be, I think, a March Madness team in Mississippi State. And Josh Hubbard's a good point guard, and he's not the reason they had 25, but they've got somebody that can handle the ball and is a good facilitator. 25 plus turnovers is crazy. And that's just like, that's what Otz has hung his hat on. Turnovers, points off turnovers, transition points. Like, that is what has made his calling card at Iowa State. And it doesn't even matter who's walking, through the doors. We've seen different teams and different lineups, and every year the defense is just outstanding. And that's all coaching. That is all TJ. Because we've seen it with so many different groups now where it's like, okay, this wasn't just one team. Like early on, it was like, well, we have to do that because we don't have offense. We have it now, and we're still doing it. So that's just the one thing I like. This is the identity. This is TJ Otzelberger. It's turnovers and it's points off turnovers.
Yeah, no, and honestly, 2 things. I'm very curious to see if it went to the last year of Prohm's tenure, what game that was. Because I don't remember 25. I don't remember us causing 25 turnovers, but I digress. More so, the biggest difference, like from a defense, like how I see that is like we were good at this in the past, but again, this team is a little bit more like tightened up in this department. But when the ball gets into the middle of the paint, it's either not being successfully tossed in there, or the second it is, it's collapsing. So, I think that's been a big emphasis probably from the staff of, like no middle. And when I say no middle, I mean no middle.
None.
Because to get that kind of performance out of your team, there has to be like extreme emphasis and extreme consequences if not executed properly. And the results spoke for themselves yesterday. So I was really impressed to see. As much as like you talk about like the top of the key Tamin steal, like as important as that is, and as much as that does happen, there's a lot more off the ball chaos that happens in an Iowa State defense, and I think that's what plays into such impressive stats like you saw last night.
Nigel, we're only 3 games in, so I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse quite yet. But a lot of people going into the year, this team was probably going to take a step back on offense and, still be just as good on defense. That's certainly what Mr. Ken Pomeroy thought. And by the way, shout out Ken Pom. I think we jumped 18 spots on adjusted offense last night, which is nuts. Iowa State up to the 9th team, and Ken Pom, that might change. There's a lot of good teams in action tonight. But, is this proof that we might not be taking a step back on offense, or do you think it's just too early to tell?
It's a mix of both. Yes, I think we take a step on offense, but I think it's still very early to tell. Like I think we got a lot of basketball to get through. I think I want to get through Thanksgiving, and then I can have a genuine boost of confidence. Put it this way: if we had just beaten Florida, same score, I would have felt a lot better than I do right now. Sure. I still feel good nonetheless, but I think it's like I don't want to teeter-totter too much on either side. However, I do think our offense is moving in the right direction. And again, when you just have more people who are competent on offense, who can do something off the dribble if need be, like last resort, like that's when you become a great basketball team. It doesn't matter who you roll out there. There's tons of national championship teams that aren't oozing NBA draft talent. Like it's a matter of how well you play in your system, how well you play the opponent you're playing. And also, it comes down to a bit of desire, too. As much as you want defensive desire, and it's really emphasized on that end of the floor, the same mentality can be carried on into how well you want to execute something. And I think with just more emphasis on people who understand the offense, and especially, like you said, getting experienced guards back in Heisey, Lipsey, I would put even Milan in that category. Like you're going to get a lot of people who, if people are a little stuck in the offense of learning it, you got people who can immediately plug them in, show them the ropes, and get everyone on the same page. Like you kind of saw last night in the sense of like how solid and fluid everything looked. So definitely was, I think it plays a lot into it. And obviously I think they do have a makeup of a tournament team. I don't want to sit here and say they're going to make the Final Four because we sat here and said last year we're going to make the Final Four, and look what happened. So, again, they're going to have to continue to impress, but as of right now, they're doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I seriously was. I was expecting, expecting to win, and so was Vegas, but, I didn't think it was going to be comfortable. And I didn't think it was just going to be, really – the second half was kind of just an afterthought. They really kept them. I think 14 was as low as the lead got, maybe 12 or 13. I know it didn't get below 10. And to keep a team at arm's reach like that for 20 minutes, that is really something to, you don't see that often.
You mentioned Vegas. I know the spread was 18.5. Do you see that one guy, he faded? He faded Mississippi State spread. It was he had 16.5, and he was like, I got a filthy amount of money on Mississippi State, Iowa State right now. And I just want to know what that guy's payout was because it hit. Yeah. And it was on a last second dunk.
Oh, yeah. Was it Heisey's dunk at the end there?
I don't know if it was Heisey. I think it was a Mississippi State player. Because I think...
Oh, the one we just gave up at the end. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Because at that time, it was 18. And it was and then guy put the nail in the coffin. And I was like, wow, good for him. Screw you, Vegas. Yeah, shout out to that guy.
Also, I was watching a very legal, very cool YouTube stream. It was a bad game, but it was on, I think my ESPN Plus wasn't working. It was Quinnipiac, and I don't even know who they were playing. But the whole, YouTube always has a comment section, straight up degenerate gamblers. The only thing people were talking about was the active spread and what they should be betting. I was it's 2 p.m. on a Thursday. I'm gentlemen.
Yeah.
We got to touch grass here. I'm in it just for the love of the game. I'm just here to be a sicko, but you guys are just living on every bated breath about your line here. I'm like, come on, fellas.
Yeah, like some 41, you're in too deep. And
Yeah.
if you ever see me doing that, fellas, please call my mother and the number, because I'm in a dark place.
1-800-bets off.
Yeah.
Nigel, any last thoughts on Mississippi State before we kind of move on to the kind of upcoming schedule for Iowa State?
No, I don't think we make too big of a deal about this, because nonetheless, like, this was not a game that was scaring me. You know, I knew you want to obviously see where everyone's at, and you want to obviously win a game like that. But I think, you know, you take it for what it is. It was a great win. Offense looked great yesterday. I hope we can only keep that up. I know defense is going to do its thing day in and day out. But, you know, the biggest question mark for us and our program really is, can our offense stay consistent? So I think if that can continue, I think obviously this team has a lot of promise going forward.
The last thing I want to say before I forget is Mississippi State was without Deontay Epps, who we mentioned last week. He was one of their big portal gets from Georgetown. I'm not sure if he's hurt or what the deal was, but he was a DNP. And, you know, that might have made a difference. It's not going to make a 20-point difference probably, but might have been a little bit closer of a game if Mississippi State was at full strength. And I think this Mississippi State team will continue to get better. This will be a quad one win at the end of the year, which, you know, depending on how the season goes, that could be the difference in a seed line come March. So, yeah, great win for Iowa State. Kind of looking ahead, we got a chance to see St. John's kind of play their first big opponent in Alabama. And our defense has looked really good. We're still the number 2 ranked defense on KenPom, which is what we came into the season as. They got just shredded by Alabama. They gave 100 points to Alabama, and that's what Alabama does. They score a bunch of points. But St. John's did not play that game the way they wanted to. The way Rick Pitino wants to play is how we want to play. I mean, he wants a game in the 60s. He wants to use shot clock. He wants to rebound and play defense. And that game just completely got away from him. It was a track meet. I feel like that's, you got to feel that's still going to be a great game. St. John's has a great chance to win the Big East this year. But that was, a little reassuring to me. I think Iowa State is probably, going to be favored in that game now. And, I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
I think, again, Pitino had a lot of run-ins with that guy. And one thing about that guy is he always has his flaws. And they always come out, maybe here, maybe later, maybe tomorrow. Who knows? But there's always something fishy. As good as the product seems, even if they can win a national championship, there's always something fishy. Some foul play. Well, like you would have thought the 2013 Louisville Cardinals, man, that's just a good basketball team.
Yep.
A few years later, that's why the kids are going there. Got it. No, that makes sense. They were playing really good. They were playing really hard. Yeah, it was great. But yeah, no, Pitino is obviously a really good coach, like you said, and they're gonna have their team locked and loaded for a game like this. I can only imagine that Pitino's probably giving them the talk like, this team's gonna smack you in the mouth if you don't get it together. Yeah. So obviously, there's a lot of time in between our right now to the 24th. Like, I almost am scared. As you feel better, I'm more scared with the 2-week break we have. Like, yeah, we play Stonehill. I've never heard of that school in my fucking life. So
either thought. And I've heard of almost every school.
Yeah, so like if Dylan doesn't know a school, I'm terrified. I'm not moved at all. But to get a 2-week kind of hiatus from basketball, and then that's the next team you see, and then you got to turn around and play Creighton the next day. Like after we already played Creighton, like. Yeah. And it didn't look great. So, in context, I think TJ gave McDermott a lot of the stuff they were going to run and said, throw the wrenches at us. But nonetheless, like those are 2 tough games to turn around and play. And it's kind of why I don't want to get too high on the Mississippi State win. Like, it was a great win. But I just hope that we can really kind of get Stonehill out the way. As much as I know Otzelberger will be, practicing his guys to the bone, for the love of God, a rest day and a few ice packs will do. I don't need any black guys going into Thanksgiving week. We need rest, especially for 2 really hard games like that. But yeah, nonetheless, really excited about the next few weeks. And, St. John's is going to be the ultimate test, I think, going into the holiday break here. And
I was talking about like how Mississippi State has a really good point guard. St. John's doesn't really have a true point guard. They have a guy, but he played pretty bad against Alabama. I'm forgetting his name. He's a white kid. It'll come. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out on November 24th.
I gotta figure this out.
When he goes, 8 for 10 from 3, and then I'll never forget his name the rest of my life. But I think Mississippi State is kind of the quiz, and St. John's and Creighton is a test. Like, we passed the quiz, but where we're really going to learn about, those, besides Purdue, St. John's and Creighton are the toughest games that Iowa State has in their non-conference. And then depending on who that third team is in Vegas, that could also be, that tournament is absolutely ridiculous. We gotta look. There might be a 30 for 30 about this Players Era tournament coming up. Like, all those teams are so good. It's just nuts. I don't know. I know there's I think the champion, they get $1 million. It might be more than that now. In NIL, maybe it's $5 million. So I think that's why a lot of these kind of high payroll NIL teams are there.
It's part of recruiting. Like, hey, we're going to go play in this tournament. You're going to get bread if you win.
It kind of reminds me like Dodgeball, the movie, where it's just like the average Joes against the Purple Cobras. Like, it's just this.
Hopefully no one is playing an assless chaps on Thanksgiving weekend, because I won't be able to hold down my food.
Yeah, we can only hope. That would not go well with the turkey and mashed potatoes.
Those are the wrong kind of yams. Oh my God! No, but I'm looking at St. John's. They got a squad. Dylan Darling is his name. That's who you're talking about. But they got Zuby, Ejiofor. I think he was at Memphis last year. Bryce Hopkins from Chicago, Ian Jackson, Dylan Mitchell. They got some guys. Ruben Prey, he was pretty good last year. So yeah, it'll be a tough match. But if they're the test, if Creighton and St. John's is the test, Mississippi State was the quiz. Stonehill is a 5-point homework assignment. Get it over with, turn it in, and go on with your life, please. Because I just don't. Can we scrimmage somebody or something? Like, let's keep the legs warm. This is too long, and then just bam, Patino. It's like, all right, can I have some water first? Jesus.
Nigel, I'll Venmo you $10 right now if you can tell me the mascot for Stonehill.
Joke's on you. I don't have Venmo, but I would assume it
starts with an S.
I'm trying to wait. I'll do like the challenge of when people guess the logo, like people have like their girlfriends guess the logo of NFL teams, and it's like way off. Stonehill, I would say they look like a falcon, or like something with an S, like the Stonehill Stompers.
The Skyhawks. I'm not quite sure what a Skyhawk is. I don't think that's an actual animal. But
I would have gone with the Stompers. Like, if you're good, that's a cool name.
When you said Falcons, I was like, oh, hold on. But no, the Stonehill Skyhawks come to town. Yeah, like I said, I've never heard of these guys. I'm guessing they're from the East Coast. But yeah, I do kind of get. I'm glad we at least played Mississippi State. Like, you played a team with a pulse. More than a pulse. That team's going to be an 8 or a 9 seed in March. Chris James is a great coach. He's from Iowa. I wonder if that's kind of why he wanted to kind of get back to this kind of area. He was one of the names being tossed around for the Iowa job before Ben McCollum was selected. But just so you can kind of measure yourself against somebody. Because, if you're playing just Fairleigh Dickinson, Grambling State, and Stonehill, and then, it's Rick Pitino in Vegas. Ooh, damn, that's.
Can I stretch first, or are we just rolling out the balls? I'm scared.
And that Players Era tournament, it's going to be like the AAUs of college. Like, it's just like a national invitation of the Sweet 16. It's insane. But I'm really glad Iowa State's there. Maui is bad this year. I was looking at Atlantis. That's bad this year. So we're really all eyes going to be on Vegas, because that's where all the good teams are playing for Feast Week. So I'm happy that Iowa State's there, because that's a huge stage. And if they can build on what they've been doing, that's where you're going to get that national recognition that we kind of got in that Auburn game in Maui last year.
Yeah. No, and again, I don't know if it's good for college basketball to always give Maui the flowers of like that is the Thanksgiving tournament. I think, in years where less attention's on it, I think it's better. I think the years where more attention's been on it, it's been a little underwhelming. So who knows? Maybe because the talent has been kind of insanely decreased up to their standards.
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe it'll be really competitive games and just quality basketball. So still curious to see like what that turnout is without like the big names there. But yeah, with money coming into play, especially for tournaments, and that being a part of the benefit of these teams joining outside of tournament seeding and whatnot, it's going to motivate a lot of big programs to leave. Like, so history is going to be history, but like at some point, history too will change, and I think that's kind of like a real time example. So I'm not saying Maui's dead, but it ain't the girl it used to be. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, times are changing, Nigel, and I think Iowa State's doing a good job. I think you got to change with the times. You can't, stay back in history and go down with the sinking ship. So, shout out to Iowa State.
It's one thing to be St. John's. Like St. John's, we know where the NIL money's coming from. It's coming from the Gambino Mafia family. Like, we get it.
The Pitino family.
Yeah, Kyle Korver's paying all of Creighton's players, a few million there, here and there.
Dougie Buckets.
Like, you think about the teams at that tournament, Iowa State is the hungriest one when it comes to NIL. Like, if that isn't a motivating factor, that should definitely play into it. But, again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. It's 2 weeks out. A lot of basketball, a lot of practice to get through. So want to do that first, and then obviously we can handle our food, and hopefully we don't play around with it.
Yeah, and that'll be a big stage for Iowa State. Nigel, November 11th, who would have thought we would have had a slate this good in college basketball? This will all have been settled by the time this podcast airs tomorrow, but we got, Michigan, Wake Forest just went final. I'm not sure who won. That game went into overtime. Now I got Texas Tech, Illinois on my screen, but Kentucky, Louisville is kind of the big one tonight. That game is as big as it's been probably since the time Michigan won.
Michigan won.
85,
Michigan won by a
82.
point. 80. Wait, what? It says 85-84 Michigan.
Oh, Aiden's talking in the chat. Oh, Aiden was wrong.
85-84, yeah.
Let the record show.
Wow.
I was pulling for Wake
and then
Forest.
Florida came back and beat Florida State.
Man,
wow.
my night's ruined.
Vegas called.
Yeah. Texas Tech, Illinois going on right now. So is Kentucky, Louisville. Gonzaga, Creighton, I'm watching that one tonight. That's another, for Iowa State fans, do your homework. I think this is Creighton's kind of last game against a big team before they'll play the two teams in Vegas. So we're going to learn. We kind of learned a little bit about St. John's. We're going to learn about Creighton tonight. What a strange day for some great college basketball tonight.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about it. I'm glad we were able to finally have some non-scared programs, put their butt to the fire a little earlier. Given how some teams have really gone out sorry in past tournaments, like it's not going to hurt you. What's worse, losing now or in March? Like,
right.
And put it this way: the more competitive, you are when in scheduling those higher level games, now the other team has an equal amount of chance to lose said game, and then it turns into a not as bad loss. Like, I would take a 78-76 loss over Florida if I'm Florida State, then lose to Stetson University in a BS November game. Like these are apples and oranges, and one is clearly better. I don't understand why people were so adamant before on like, let's get 9 wins under us that are absolutely meaningless, and then let's just turn it on. Like, at what point in anything you do in life, when does that work? Why would it work now? Like, what?
I think the one thing a couple years ago, the committee really started to value the net ranking, and the more like 20 plus point victories you have, the higher your net. Like, that really gives a bonus to your net ranking. So I think that was kind of why we're seeing this. I think that's at least why TJ and Iowa State really started to schedule a lot.
Well, it's not even a TJ attack, bro. It's like college basketball in general. Like that is the rhythm for the last 20 years. That's been the rhythm of one schedule. Like, let's play some BS all November. Well, turn up the heat a little, medium rare this mug on Thanksgiving week, and then after that we'll cruise into January, and then boom, playing Baylor. They're ranked in the country. It's like, holy shit, dude. Like, can I breathe for a second? Like, it just didn't make sense to me logically for years, like why any team was doing that. Like, and it's like, oh, well, we don't want to lose on our home floor. Then win. Like, win. I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like, you in life, you have a choice. You can play and win, or you can play and lose. Regardless, one of them's gonna happen. Like, it baffles me. My whole point to this entire rant is I'm just glad that there's more competitive basketball in early November because it gets people a lot more tuned into college basketball before Thanksgiving week even starts. So again, very encouraging to see. I think to be a UNC, to be a Kentucky, a Louisville, a Florida, a Michigan, like, to get quality wins or quality losses right now is still meaningful. So push for that, as opposed to beating up on Western Michigan just to say we beat Western Michigan. Like, it's stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah, a win over Mississippi State is going to do more for a fan base and your team than a win over Mississippi Valley State, who, Nigel, great news. They beat the Mississippi University of Women men's basketball team. That might be one of their only wins of the year. So shout out to the Delta Devils. They got the job done.
Who do they play next? The School of the Blind?
It's so that university, Mississippi University of Women, should probably change their name. It's crazy that they have men's athletics and that's the name of the school.
Nigel, it's a bad look.
Do you got anything else before we get out of here? Your Dookie Blue Devils, they beat Army. They beat Krzyzewski's alma mater. He was probably courtside whispering John Shire how to coach his team.
He doesn't need help. Jewish Jordan does not need help, but I digress. No, it was actually pretty cool. He was honored. Excuse me. He was honored pregame because he went to West Point and then coached there for a bit before he got to Duke. So they raised his banner in the rafters there. So it was really, really cool moment for him. But yeah, obviously I was hoping that they were gonna, just go in there and manhandle. I mean, they had us in the first half. I'm not gonna lie. That little ginger point guard starting for West Point right now. Don't be shocked if you see him as a 16th seed. They might light up the Patriot League. I'm not gonna lie. They were spraying threes. Oh my God. So, Army, buy stock now. And also, if you're into the Blue Bloods, Dame Star. Everyone's talking about Boozer, but Dame Star, buy stock now. That kid can defend his ass off. He has it's 6'8", 7'2" wingspan. Guy's just an unreal two-way player. So, really, really was excited to see him play tonight. But yeah, otherwise a solid win. So, that's pretty much all I got on my plate.
A lot of basketball left. Next week, we got the Stonehill Skyhawks to recap, and then it's on to Vegas. So, gentlemen, let him cook. Nigel, you got anything else you want to say to the Cyclone faithful?
Nah, that's it, man. We're just going to keep cooking. You guys going to keep listening, and you're going to like it.
President Cook, shout out.